All discussions and interactions are meant for educational and entertainment purposes only. They're not intended to breach the ATA Code of Conduct, single out any student or educator, or diminish professional integrity in any way.
Professional development with Mr.Drover. Gun half dropping in your pocket when we come over. Keep it live. Good development with Mr.Drover.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. This is our 12th episode now, which is awesome. So just wanted to thank everyone for the support. I couldn't do without you guys. It's a fun little project, and I think it's getting a lot of steam. So just keep sharing the content, keep sharing the show, and you're going to get more guests with more interesting stories. Speaking of interesting guests, we have Cassandra Masters on this episode. She's a teacher currently working for Rocky View Schools at the school that I teach at, and she is a jack of all trades. She's a black belt in karate, a vocal artist. She all around is an amazing person. She has a ton of different pets. She's an animal lover. And we really dive into, I guess, the similarities between, an athlete, such as myself in like track and field, and what it takes to be a vocalist. The discipline aspect, how it shapes our practice, how we run our classrooms, and all things that sort of shape our personality. Like I said, it seemed like we really are the same person, which is hilarious because me and her work in the same building, but we barely have ever spoken to one another before this podcast. It just goes to show that, sometimes you can work with someone and have much more in common than you think. I guess this is just a lesson to reach out and, really make friends with your coworkers because you never know. Anyway, that's all I have for this intro. Let's get right into the conversation. Let's dive in. Cassandra Masters.
Hello, Conrad.
Nice to have you on.
Honestly, I just wanted to start out by saying it's really nice to be on. I'm really impressed with what you're doing here, and I'm really excited to see it continue to grow.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I'm glad you enjoy it because it is a ton of work.
I can imagine.
But the easy part is that I know so many great people. Like working in education, that's just how it is. And like I laugh at myself and sort of like hit myself in the head when I think about this, because when I initially started this and I gave out those like cards and stuff like that.
Card you gave.
Yeah. You emailed me and you're like, hello, like I'm happy to join your podcast and sweet. And I was like, it's just funny because it's a small school, but like our interactions are very limited.
They're very limited. Right? We hardly ever get to see.
So I was like, oh, this Cassandra lady, like someone's actually interested in doing my podcast. So I'm like,
after we talked about it that day, I'm like,
yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll send them the info, and I don't know where they're from or whatever. Let's do this, okay? And then I was like, I don't know, maybe like a day or two later, like something clicked where I saw like a work email from you, and I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. Because I sent you like the most generic form, like, hello, like.
Yeah, I was like, but I just assumed maybe it was a generic reply that you send to everyone. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll fill this out, sure.
So
that's hilarious.
It worked out, and it's good because I like doing in person way better.
Amazing.
Like,
me too.
Every one that I know that's into podcasting, they say it's just more natural.
It is. It's more like a real conversation. It's face to face, eye to eye. It's how we do our job most of the time, unless I guess you're in online learning.
Yeah, the 2021 COVID stuff like that. Yeah, that was wild.
That's its own whole podcast.
Yeah. So this is the thing about working in a school is like everyone is a teacher here.
Yes.
But everyone is so much more than just a teacher. And that's what I've been finding out in like the 6 years of in this profession. And then when you sent me that email, and maybe this is also why I didn't like link the two together.
Click.
I was like, okay, animals, that's like really cool. Like we'll get into like how much animals you have. And then, but also you have a black belt in karate.
Yeah.
And you're a trained vocalist.
Yes.
So I guess let's back up a bit because like that is what we're going to get into, but what are your assignments now and how did you get to this assignment?
Like, into teaching. So this year I'm teaching grade 6.
Right.
So I started out as a band and music specialist, and I absolutely love teaching band. I love teaching choir. It's like I could do it all day, every day. But I also really love leadership, and I want to move into admin one day. So I just applied for my master's in educational leadership to a couple places, and I'm going to get started on that. And I figured it's time for me to start diversifying my experience because that is going to give me an amazing perspective as a leader. But I would have a very limited perspective on a lot of other really important things going on in the building. Like, what does it actually feel like to teach in a generalist classroom? So I'm just hoping to gain experience in subjects that I think I can contribute something in. And I'm really open to moving around into really any role at this point, because I think anything else that I do is going to just continue to diversify my experience so that it's not like a getting hit. I mean, it's already going to be like getting hit with a wave when I move into that position, but I'm just hoping to grow my skills in that area or in every area.
No, and I think that's a smart move when you're going into leadership. It's just having that range, because I find when I have experienced leaders that have a very narrow focus, they might be really good and they're really intelligent, right? But they can't put themselves in the shoes of the day-to-day lives of
Exactly.
teachers, but like specific teachers. And like that would be like my deficit if I went into a leadership role, right? I really don't know how an English class works. Like, so like I don't understand the struggle. I've never marked like that. Like it's totally different
That's
marking,
a
right?
whole new boat for me.
But now you're in a generalist. Like I don't know what goes on in the grades.
It's a little different in because we're in such a small town. But so we have 3 grade 6 classes. This is the biggest group that we've ever had at this school. And so the 3 classes are split. We have one class that functions like a homeroom, and they're with their homeroom teacher the majority of the time. And then me and another teacher share 2 classes. So I do the humanities side, and the other teacher does the math and science side of it. So one class functions like a homeroom while the other classes are switching places every block. So it's three totally unique positions, but it's teaching all the grade 6s, and they still get to cover everything they need to know.
Yeah, that's cool. Like it kind of reminds me of the setup I had when I was in middle school. I had my school was a K-8 school, and then he was 9 to 12.
Oh, wow.
So like in high school, in Manitoba, high school is 9 to 12.
Okay.
Like you have 2 years of junior varsity if you think board, and then 2 years of varsity.
Okay.
So you could be like a young JV or.
Do you go to middle school between there?
Some schools were lined up between that. Like some schools, it was like, K-6 or something like that, and then you went to middle school 7 to 8. But the school I was at was K-8.
Okay.
And you go 9 to 12, and that was like a lot of things. But I remember like in grade 7, I had like a homeroom teacher, Mrs. Tate. And she taught us like social studies and like English and stuff. But then when we had to go science and math, we went to like Mr. G's room or whatever.
Right.
And it was sort of like a soft entry into what to expect in high school. Like you sort of like got to move.
Yeah, you get to move around a little bit, but we're still pretty strict with them. We still have that sort of general grade 6 class expectation. They're not as free as the high school students, but we also do try to prepare them for that as well.
I want to get like a little more experience with the grade 6s because I've never taught that young. But grade
really?
7 is the youngest I've ever taught.
Okay.
And my next assignment next year is grade 6 to 8.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to switch places for a day, you let me know.
Yeah, it would be interesting because I guess like you've done band, like so in terms of age ranges.
I've taught K to 12.
K to 12.
Yeah, because when I teach in a school, I teach everybody in the school.
I guess so.
Yeah, so it's K to 12 for me.
Right. And
but the ages are very different.
Like what I could ask.
Yeah, so what ages are you primarily teaching right now?
I teach one block of grade 7 science, and then I teach high school like ComTech and CTS courses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that age range, they just need more. It's the content is not as difficult, but the management is more difficult of, getting them to get out a piece of paper, get out a pencil, remember to put the paper in their binder. don't lose things, like stay off your phone, like all those kinds of things. It's a lot of that, and a lot more so than you would with older kids.
Well, it sounds like a science
I mean,
14 class.
kind of.
Like, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're capable of more. They need that guidance.
Yeah.
And if it's not there, it can turn sour pretty quickly because they're younger still and they don't necessarily understand boundaries and consequences as well as they should at that age. So yeah, just keep an open eye when you're in there. Make sure you're watching them. And
well, I'm just wondering, like, how, like, do you regulate yourself when you're doing that? Because, I don't know, teaching high school, like, there's a level, like, of acceptable sarcasm.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, just, like, ripping on,
that
like,
you can do
kids
back
and
and
stuff
forth.
like that. My biggest, like, not fear, but, like, it's something that I would want to, like, make sure I have, like, I double check myself, is to, like, not make a child cry by accident.
Absolutely.
That is my biggest thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I find, like, with that age, you just have to avoid sarcasm, and it can be really hard. Sometimes I'll let something slip out, but they'll just look at you and go
Confused.
and then they think that you're being serious
Yeah.
or something. But yeah, so a couple of them get it, especially the ones who have, like, older siblings. They'll understand what's
Right.
going on. But for the most part, everything that you do has to be very regulated, has to be very gentle, has to be very professionally worded, and you don't get that same level of back and forth that you can get in a high school, which some people find really rewarding. I do too, but I also find it really rewarding getting to know them and getting them to open up and tell me about themselves, and it's just rewarding in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I assume so. Like, I have younger nephews and nieces, and like they're like sometimes like little drunk people. Like, you get to hang out with them, and, like, they're funny and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm excited to, like, I'm teaching right now. My assignment next year at the school I'm going to be working at is 3 blocks of phys ed, then 1
okay,
block
that's gonna be.
numeracy and literacy.
Have you taught phys ed before?
Oh yeah, I have a
Yeah.
phys ed degree.
Oh,
Yeah, which is,
look at
again,
that.
I know it's
Well, look at
super,
that.
yeah.
Our, like, classroom, my classroom is, like, right there, and we barely know each other.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, no, I actually, I have a phys ed degree, fully planned on teaching phys ed.
Oh, cool.
But then my minor is biology.
Okay.
So I was really wanted to teach grade 11 bio, which never happened because it is the most sought after assignment
Is it?
ever. Yeah, so many people want high school bio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not me.
It's wild. But middle school science, like,
Okay.
it's simple enough where I can have fun with it.
Yeah.
Again, I actually enjoy learning it when I'm, like, trying to, like, catch up on curriculum.
That's
It's like,
awesome.
wow, like, grade 7 work is, like, really chill.
Yeah.
It's like crossword puzzles in the morning. Like, that's sort of when I get it.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so I teach in grade 10 science. I've taught grade 10 science
Okay.
too, and that's
Okay.
cool. And then science 24 and 14.
Okay.
So those are the classes where it's like the double-edged sword, where I was like, I really like the kids because the kids remind me of myself when I was, like, young, but it's also like pulling teeth
It can
when
be.
you have, like, curriculum expectations that you have to do. But, like, I found as I progressed in my education, I cared less about what other people
Thought.
thought, and it made my job easier. Like, I could actually,
Yeah.
like, focus on how to teach these kids the way,
The
like,
way, yeah.
it should be, right?
This year I've felt way more exposed in that sense.
Yeah.
Because typically, like, I'm in an area of the school, the band room, where almost nobody knows what I'm talking about
Right.
when I'm marking, even when I'm sending marks home to parents, anything I can say, well, your child played the wrong scale, the harmonic scale or whatever. I can say that they played the
don't-
wrong
that's-
fingering,
yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But this year it's like, no, I'm talking about very, very common knowledge. And it's been really interesting to me to take a step back and to realize how vulnerable I feel
Yeah.
when I'm marking something that I know other people have a lot of knowledge about,
Yeah, and we work with so much
right?
geniuses, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many kids in my class last year when I was teaching grade 10 science. They had, like, a physics question, and I was like, okay, we'll work together on it. And they're like, can I just go to Lawson? Can I just... And I was like, man, I'll go with you. Like, we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
And then he would teach both of us, and then I would come back to
Yeah,
class.
right.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the number of times there's one particular student I have in mind who knows the curriculum better than I do. And sometimes I'll say, you know what, class, that's a great question. Child X, do you know the answer?
Yeah.
Before I have to go look it up.
Yeah.
But the number of times I've had to say, that's a great question, I'm going to go look that up this year, has significantly skyrocketed.
Anyway, but kids like that honesty.
Oh,
though.
totally.
Like
Yeah, you can.
they understand that like for me anyway, like I think one of my students, she was like, "Oh, Mr. Drover's just a bro." Like we'll figure it out together. I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's chill."
Yeah.
Like there is stuff I'm really good at, but like in terms like even like just being a general science teacher, there's units that I know like off the back of my head that I wouldn't have to prep for at all. But then there's like structures and forces. Like I have to like look back at that because the only stuff I have is like biomechanics. So I know the basics, but like in terms of like compression, tensile force, all that stuff, I have to like I'll figure it out.
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's not work to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on a steep learning curve this year.
Well, that brings me to like another thing that I'm interested in is like the prep of a generalist.
Like how much prep work?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like what does that look like?
Like what does it look like compared to like I'm teaching 2 of the same grade 7 science classes.
Right.
And I prep solely for science.
Right.
And I have like a general knowledge. Even if we get off topic, I always have something science in my back pocket that
you can do
out, right? But if I had to teach like English, social studies, and like stuff like that, like
right.
and all in like sequence, like you have to prep for like 5 classes a day rather than 1 class a day, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think because of where we are, I'm really lucky with how my schedule has been structured, because I don't feel overwhelmed by the prep that I have to do this year. But I can definitely see the overwhelm that classroom teachers face because I'm quite lucky. When I teach in the morning, I'm teaching the same class twice in a row. And then the next day I'm teaching the same class twice in a row.
You mess up once, you fix it the next class.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm super lucky to be teaching with another teacher in the building. We co-teach a class. And so one of us is there one day, one's there the other. And he's set the class up so that it's Google modules that the kids are working through. So I'm pretty much there just to answer questions if needed. So there's not really a lot of prep involved in that. And then I'm teaching PE, which the gym director and I used to work with his daughter and I know him. And so we get along great and he helps manage that. And I think that's my whole schedule.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's
missing something else.
So like the module 1, like photography, I'm assuming, right? And then you have the classroom stuff and then you have gym.
Right.
And you're all over the school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I need, like, during COVID, when I was teaching music, I had to teach music off a cart because we couldn't have kids moving throughout the school into like common spaces. And so I was running around the school all day teaching on a cart. And I feel like that a little bit like that again.
Yeah. But like, again, it's hitting your goals if you want to be like, have that range, right?
Yes, exactly. So and it's looking into the future to decide how to get there. And
I think you can, like, I'm not sure about this, like, I'm pretty sure about this. You can be an admin or assistant principal when you're in the process of getting your master's.
Currently, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that rules around that are starting to change.
Yeah.
But I think that is currently the rule right now.
Because I had a couple of friends that were vice principals in Fort Mac and they were like working on their master's
while they did it.
Yeah, they did it, right?
Yeah.
That might be a little different because it's the scarcity of teachers is even more there.
Yeah.
Which is wild because in Manitoba, it's the complete opposite.
Oh, really?
It's really hard to get a teaching job in Manitoba.
Wow. Wow.
There's like 0.2 positions, 0.5 positions, 0.3 positions. And like,
wow.
Then on top of that, they're like pushing Francophone stuff. So if you don't speak French, right?
And you're even harder.
Well, I lucked out with like a nice contract, but
I really did.
I think my fiance will have to sub a bit and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's perks to everywhere you go, right?
I totally thought you were married.
No, not
total
yet.
Side note, thought you were married.
Yeah, soon, 2026. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Okay. So you got that range, right? And I think that's noble for any educator to go and pursue that.
Thank you.
Right. And I think the one that stands out, because even more than phys ed, is the music. Because I find that, I know, fitness and exercise is embedded more in everyone's life than like instruments.
Yeah.
So it's easier for a teacher to sub for phys ed than it is music.
Oh, gosh.
like,
Subbing for music is its own
I know.
sport.
I know, like, so in phys ed, like, I know some people dread it and they're like, oh, it's phys ed.
Mhm.
But like, you can grind your teeth and work through the chaos, right?
Yeah.
It's organized chaos, right?
Yes.
That's all it is. But for music, like, I literally wouldn't know how to start. It would be similar to me subbing for a French class.
Right?
Like, I just don't know.
Wouldn't
Like,
know
I
what-
don't even have the bass knowledge. I remember like doing tabs on a guitar and I play in the recorder.
Right.
But I have no rhythm. I have no tone. I can't keep a beat. But in terms of the music though, like in music class, what got you into music? Like, what made you teach music? Because I assume that you must have a background in that, because no one just goes halfway through university being like, you know what, let's try music.
Somebody does.
Okay.
Somebody does, you know her. I mean, I guess I was that kid. I was in band and choir and handbells growing up, but I was that kid that kind of missed out on all the concepts. And I used to sit there, and I was very good. I would like sit and with my music behind my stand. I had no idea how to read music. I had no idea how to read rhythms, notes. I didn't even know which notes associated like on my page onto my instrument. And I made it through grade 12 like that.
Wow.
And I knew I wanted to pursue music because it was like, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And so I made the decision that I was just going to apply. And I was really lucky where I grew up. There was a sort of like well, it was a polytechnic university. So I started there and they did a certificate music program. So I did 1 extra year of certificate music, and they basically take you through 12 years of RCM training in 8 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like you actually, because the question I was going to say before you did that little tidbit was like how did you learn how? Because in education, at least in the phys ed realm, when I was in phys ed, they didn't teach us anything phys ed. Like,
Right.
like my coach, he told me when he took the phys ed program, like, you know, millennial ago or whatever,
Yeah.
right? He was like, you had a volleyball unit, you had a basketball unit,
Oh,
you had like all that stuff. And I'm like, well, that would have been useful because I'm an athlete, I'm fit and I'm conditioned. I'm a like an elite runner at certain points in my life, but I can't volley a ball, man. Like that takes practice.
Yeah.
I got cut from like the grade 9 basketball team,
Yeah.
right? So, I
think
kind of had to learn that, like,
super similar.
right, exactly. And so I was thinking, I was like, I at least had like a little background in athletics and I can just learn with the kids in basketball, but I couldn't imagine trying to learn it as I was teaching it.
Yeah, I think I was lucky. Like in my practicums, I was really open with my teachers, and I said like, with one of my teachers that I'm thinking of in particular, I just said like, I don't know how to, because conducting is more what you need to know how to do with your arms. That's the most important thing one of the most important things.
I'm guessing there's something to it and not just.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. It's a whole science. Yeah. It's like one of those things that when I see it in movies and when any conductor sees it in movies, you're like, ow, please stop. Yeah, but I had no idea how to conduct. And I came to my practicum teacher and I just said, like, I don't know how. And he said, oh, okay, well, why don't you just go run this warm up? Because I don't think he really understood how much I did not know how to do this. Go run this warm up and we'll and then we'll work on it. And I was like, no, like I really don't know how, but I didn't want to challenge him because he's my partner teacher. I was like, okay, went up to the podium and I was like, okay, guys, go. And he was like looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And I said, I told you I really don't know how.
Oh, man.
Yeah, conducting's not even mandatory to take. I did take it, but it did not come naturally to me. So I ended up having to spend a lot of extra hours at my practicum, and he really helped me become a better conductor. And then I've had to work on it a lot since then. I usually, like in the beginning when I was conducting, I would have to, it's almost like a pre-planned dance of what you're going to do when you're doing it. And then as you get better at it, like I'm at that place now, I can just look at a score and conduct my way through it. But it takes a lot of practice, and it's almost like a pre-planned dance. People don't really realize that. It's often not just something that's happening in the moment.
Yeah, you have to get like good at like, because it's probably all in your sensory memory, like at the start, right?
Yeah.
It's actually like very similar to like running in terms of like proper running form.
Oh, I didn't.
So like, conducting.
Yeah.
Like when you just see someone run, it's just like, oh, like there's a difference between like a hobby jogger that's
Right.
like just running because they want to get in shape. And then if you look at like a professional runner, like when I'm watching running, I'm looking at where their heels are. Like, so are their heels getting up to their butt? Like, you know, because like
Is that good or bad?
it's good
Okay.
because what happens is if your heels are closer to your butt on your one of your phases of your running,
Okay.
that makes your moment arm of your
Of your
leg shorter, which makes it. And if you know like anything about
Oh.
physics, the
Yeah.
moment arm, you need less force to move it up if the arm is shorter. So
Yeah.
it takes less newtons to drive your leg if your moment arm is shorter. So and it's very easy. It's easier to get your knee up when you do that. So like a good runner would have like really good form, and you check where their hips are at. If their hips are like underneath like their center of mass, like shoulders, right? So they're not sitting down.
Interesting.
But to do that, to accomplish that, like some people are gifted and like very natural with it, but there's like drills, like there's A's, B's, and C's. Like so, B's are like crazy, like kick out, slide down, and then A's are like high knees, and C's are like butt kickers, like stuff like that. And if you break it down, they're all just different phases of what you would run.
Wow. I just learned something new.
I really wish I had a visual of that, right? But we just do it painstakingly, like with like dedicated focus over and over again as part of our warm up and our drills.
Okay, yeah.
And then when we're running and we're doing our repetitions, you probably have about 10 seconds of focus before you get too tired that you can like think of it, like, okay, like get this up. And then eventually it just becomes second nature, right?
I had no idea that was a
again,
thing.
Very, very probably like loose connection, but like it's like just skill acquisition.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
You're learning something because Olivia, my fiance, I can't play video games with her because she can't use the left joystick to move and the right joystick to turn their head at the same time, like Call of Duty.
Really?
So like, yeah, the left joystick, you'd be moving your characters like in the world.
Okay.
And then you'd be moving like the head with the
right.
She can't do that simultaneously.
Interesting.
Whereas since I've been playing video games since I was like 6, I can do that. And
I guess it is hard. Like it's almost like scrolling on your computer when someone's computer scrolls the opposite way.
The Mac versus Windows thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, and it's like you're flinging it and it's going the other way. My brain's like, what's going on?
Veritasium. I don't know if you've ever seen him on YouTube.
No.
I show this video to my students every year. It's called The Science of Thinking.
Oh, is it a TED Talk?
No, it's a very well produced, like almost like Vsauce, if you remember. Like,
okay.
Vsauce. He talks about you have two brains, like type 1 system, type 2 system.
Okay.
And he calls them like Drew and like something else or whatever. And so tying your shoes is a big example because your sensory memory, just you got a nursery rhyme, whatever you have to do to like figure it out. You have to be very articulate of what folds you do, what bows you make or whatever, right? But then eventually it goes to a gun and Drew. That's what it is.
Okay.
The gun is the one that does everything fast.
Right.
So Drew has to learn it. And then once he learns it enough, he sends it to gun. And gun can just do it automatically without.
Right.
But Drew has to do like concentrated effort to learn something.
To do that.
And repeat it until it can go to gun.
Interesting.
And the problem with the gun is that he's going to take half the information and assume what's going on. Right. So that's where quick mistakes are.
Exactly.
Right. So they do this one with like the ball and bat. Like the bat's $1 and the ball is 10 cents less than like the bat or something like that. I don't know the exact thing. Right. But everyone goes quickly and answers their incorrect question. The incorrect answer.
Yeah.
And this was the really cool thing about it. And I've literally changed my test to look at this, is that I make all my tests like multiple choice, even on Google Classroom sometimes when I can. I make it hard to read font. I make it like either like cursive or like very like low contrast.
Okay.
And it makes them squint and it makes them read the question.
Makes them think.
Right?
Have you found improvements with it?
Like nothing like where I could be like,
this is a
statistic, but like they have done it, and they're looking at college like test scores, and
Interesting.
people score better when they have to like really
think.
because they can't skim words. They have to, because they
Mhm.
can't see anything. They have to really focus on reading
Mhm.
word,
Yeah.
and then they make less mistakes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Honestly,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, when I even write tests, I have to sit there and I have to play the scenario out in my head before I can give an answer. And it works really well. It's a great way to recall information.
Yeah.
Yeah, properly.
Like, and that's when I tell the kids, like, when you're really trying to understand something, read something out loud. Because it's harder to skip words when you read out loud.
Exactly.
When I'm reading in my head, I like read half the thing and just assume that I know what
Assume that you know the rest.
Exactly, right? And I don't even do that consciously. It just happens, right?
Yeah, I'm the total opposite of that, but I know that's usually what I love reading. And so I will read every single word on the page, like probably to a fault. But my husband's like that and he skips over stuff all the time.
Like, I've read a whole page of a book and then forgot what I read, right?
Sounds like reading comprehension.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, like,
you're distracted thinking about
like I can
something else.
focus and I'll get it done, right? But
Yeah,
then I'll
okay,
drift
yeah.
off, or like I'll miss like a word, and like the reading comprehension's there. But if the font was harder to read, I would have to like
Focus.
utilize more of my like sensory memory to like look into it
Interesting.
and read it, rather than just handing it off to like the
Right.
quick and easy
The quick
way.
and easy way.
So, and then it talks about like chunking and stuff like that,
Okay.
and then how advertising has changed. So like, before, like, advertising was like very simple and like, this is the product, this is what it does, this is why it's better than competitors, right?
Okay.
But we've tuned that out so much because it's overstimulating all of us all the time that the flashiness doesn't really get to us anymore. But I think he does this in the video. There's an advertising firm, like an insurance firm, and it said it was just and a question mark, and then that was all the advertising. And
Interesting.
people would be like, "What the heck's un?"
Yeah.
There was a question that was
They're
unanswered.
paying attention.
Yeah, and then eventually it was revealed that it was like an insurance company. Like, undo that jumping into the pool with your phone, undo this, undo that embarrassing thing or whatever. But it made people think and made people have that
It
question.
grabs you. It's a hook, like in an essay. It's a hook.
Well, that's literally when we're thinking back to pedagogy, right?
Yeah.
An inquiry question.
Right.
Like, why?
Yeah.
That's going to hook people, right? So yeah, check that video out. It was a big rant, but Veritasium is really good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I will check that out.
So, band, I didn't realize that you weren't that good at it.
I wasn't to start.
Yeah, it wasn't to start, but that sort of that college that you went to.
Yeah, they
or
that program
before university, right? Like,
it's a university technically.
yeah.
Unfortunately, they've canceled the program now.
dang it.
I don't know why, but
So, what's the timeline there? You graduate high school, then you go
graduate high school, certificate degree.
Yep.
And then regular bachelor's degree.
Okay, sweet. And then you didn't have like an undergrad before your education. It was all one thing.
No, I did Bachelor of Music Performance.
Okay.
And then Bachelor of Education.
Okay, good. Some people have it like differently.
Some people do the concurrent 5 years. Some people, I guess a while ago, it was optional for 4 years.
Yeah.
I guess I've got 7.
Sweet. You're right on top of the good there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because music specifically at the University of Manitoba was a 5-year degree. Like, they like separated us from all the other ed students.
Oh yes.
Yeah. It was
okay.
like, but they had like a
Interesting.
5, like you go from high school into that 5 year.
Into that 5-year. Okay.
But I know like other universities have like similar things.
Yeah, I think that's maybe an option, and then you would be different. Like, you wouldn't study with the people who are doing the after degree in education. But music was always everything about it was a little bit different. You would take, this little different class, or you'd always be with your music cohort.
The people are weirder. It's
Oh, totally.
But like, and then this is like we're talking about that diversity stuff. It's like, you not only do you have that education, but like the music education, but you also have experience in like athletics, like karate.
Yeah, right.
So could you explain how that whole story?
Yeah. So my parents were really adamant about putting me in karate. I think they believed deeply in it. I didn't love it growing up, but I think it's a huge thing that pushed me towards leadership. So in the karate school that I went to, we did something called the International Martial Art. I can always get this messed up. International Martial Arts Association instructor program. And so I was accepted into that. And so I actually started teaching karate when I was like 11 years old, 11 or 12. And I taught all through high school, all the way up until I was about, I guess, 22 when I moved to Calgary to start my degrees here. So being a part of that program was really influential in terms of me wanting to teach. I had two pretty different ideas of what I wanted to do. I either wanted to teach or I wanted to be an orthodontist. Totally
Oh my
different.
God. Why is everyone I interview wanted to be a dentist?
Really?
Like, okay,
Apparently
Lawson,
such a hate
Lawson was
press-
going to be a dentist.
Oh,
Who else? Like, yeah, he was like
oh yeah.
doing science
Yes,
to
I
be
did
in
listen to that.
dentistry, right? And then who else someone else wanted to be a dentist. And then Timothy Chow, like the North Korean guy, he had wanted to be a dentist.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like, but the funny thing with Jordan was like, he was like, oh, I didn't want to be a dentist because like I didn't want to like have to go and tell people that they had to do this and them not listen and then give me
I remember I did listen to that episode.
And I was like, oh, and then he became a teacher.
Yeah, so I think like
Orthodontist.
to make those choices, I thought about I was going to be rich in one way or another, rich financially or have a really rich life. And I think teaching is a really rich life, and music enriched my life so much that it pushed me in that direction. I also hated physics and chemistry, and I did not feel like doing that uphill battle.
Yeah, chemistry, like physics, I don't mind. Like physics, I like it's math. Like there's one right answer. But chemistry, I find it's the worst of both bio and physics. It's like equations, but also memorization. Like it's a lot of vocab.
In physics, it was never the equation. It was which equation do I apply to this problem was such an issue for me.
Right.
Yeah. And then I love quantum physics, but I don't get it at all.
Yeah.
And I keep reading about it, trying to get it more and more. And it's also an uphill battle.
Yeah. With the superpositions, it's crazy because it's so counterintuitive. Like I think of it as like, cause like I have a little bit of background in computer science, just like hobbyist. So like I know what binary is.
Okay.
I can count like a little bit in binary and stuff like that. But I always know that something's either a 1 or a 0. Right. And that's like electricity's going through it or electricity's not going through it. Like, like that's like transistors in a computer.
Okay.
Just imagine like there's little gates, right?
Right.
You turn it on, turn it off. That's a 1 or a 0. But computers now have billions, right? So but the sequence of which gate is open, which gate's off is like a bit. So it's like, then that makes what color appears on the screen, what audio sound comes out of the speaker. And it's super complicated, but
interesting.
Quantum computers, like it's the superposition where it could be a 1 or a 0 or both.
Yes.
Right. And
yes,
I still don't understand it.
Yeah, it's like Schrodinger's cat. I don't get it. Like I get it, but I just don't get it.
Yeah, if like he's alive or dead.
Yeah.
But if you want to like feel like you're smart, but like not still get it, like there's so much like awesome shows
really
about it. Oh my God. I will probably have to look this up if I can't think of it. Devs. That's what the show is called. So DEVS, right? Do you know like Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec?
No, maybe like, the guy with the mustache.
The guy with the mustache. Yeah, like small government, like that guy. He stars in it, right?
Okay.
And they made this quantum computer.
Oh my goodness.
And again, it's all super sci-fi or whatever, but quantum computer that they can predict and the past and the future based on the concept of determinism. Right.
Wow, that's
so like
so good.
Like one atom hits another atom and causes like a chain effect. So you could think about it in this sort of understanding of it, that all your thoughts are already predetermined because it's just a mixture of like a chemical hitting another thing and then leading you to do this action, which would hit another, like atoms would change and then the chemicals would make you think this way and so you could, if you had a quantum computer with endless calculations, you could make a model that extrapolates
I think I know what I'm doing tonight.
Into the future, right? No, it's really good.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
And it's not too long. It's like 9 episodes or something like that, but it's really good, right? So you can crush it.
I was just
But then they can also go in the past, right? So if they can extrapolate that way, they can like think about, okay, what was it like in the past, and
Right.
just reverse the steps, right?
And when they go into the past, though, does that not change like the
Well, no, 'cause they're
trajectory?
just seeing it, right?
Oh, they're viewing
They're
it.
viewing it, right?
I see.
So, but
It's not
they've like
actually
done this with like pixels and stuff like that, and they can see like, so they've like determined, okay, uh, 2,000 years ago, Jerusalem, like where were all the atoms, and they could like witness like the crucifixion of Christ or something like that.
that would be great for police services and solving crime,
I know, right? Well,
Yeah.
it's like Minority Report or whatever.
right?
But then they get into like a crazy like the problem, because what if so that their theory is on determinism, right?
Okay,
But what if it's like string theory, like multiple reality?
right.
So what past are you going into, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
the superposition could be anything, right? So
Mhm.
a choice can make something, right? But there could be alternate branches of that determinism, right? So they're like, so maybe the reality they're looking at and they see Jesus or whatever, that's one reality,
Right.
right? But maybe it's not their past, right? And then like they think about like simulations. They could make a simulation
Right.
that's just as real as this place because you have a
Yeah.
quantum computer. Anyway, it's also super far-fetched because none of that stuff exists ever.
Right.
But
nice
it
to
is
dream
cool.
about.
It is, yeah. So devs, I forget.
Okay.
Might be on like Apple TV or like Amazon Prime.
I'm gonna
or something.
find it.
Yes. No,
I'm gonna find
it's
it.
really good. Yeah, man, like the guy that has a master's in computer science
Oh my gosh.
told me about it. Like,
Yeah.
he's the guy that got me into coding and stuff like that. I was like, sick.
Now, I usually on Wednesday nights I have choir, and I'm usually like so excited for choir, and now I'm like, crap, I have choir. I'm not gonna get to watch this tonight.
It's not going anywhere,
Yeah.
right? So
Sounds
But-
exciting though.
I love that when you just know it enough about a subject
Yeah.
where you like you get into it and like I know you get that illusion of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that like you kind of get it because like there's like the Dunning-Kruger effect. Have you ever heard of
I've
that?
not heard of that.
So the Dunning-Kruger effect is a graph of like arrogance and ignorance. That's what I call it. So it's basically like when you don't know anything about a subject, your confidence is like super low,
Right.
right?
Right.
But when you start learning a little bit about it, you get
Oh.
overconfident. And then as soon as you start learning a little bit more, you realize you know
We're right
nothing.
back down.
Right, exactly like that. So people get this in like politics and computer science and like everything, right? Like
Education is so important.
yeah. So like I got this because like yeah, I learned like a little bit of JavaScript. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like and like there's a point there I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put computer science on my resume and whatnot. And then I'm like learning more about it, like because I designed a video game. I published a video game on the App Store a couple of years ago with a student, and like it worked.
Wow.
But like if any like respected like computer science major looked at it, they'd be like, this is awful. Like there's going to be so many mistakes. You can
Right.
update this. And then I realized that I knew absolutely
It's
nothing.
absolutely
right?
nothing. But
So-
to the average consumer, maybe it
Yeah.
looks like you knew a
well,
lot.
no,
there.
exactly. Just like I couldn't update it. I couldn't
Yeah.
like do anything like this. It just works. Like it's like
Is it still there?
I have to like redo the license
Oh,
because you have to
okay.
renew it every year.
Right.
It's like $150 or whatever. But I think I'll remake it. And then you just learn from. But that's how I learned how to code, because they're like, "Do you want to teach computer science, or you have to teach computer science?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, I don't know anything about computer science." So I was like, "How do I learn anything?" Well, like I YouTubed tutorials. And
Right.
it's like I learned best by project-based learning.
Okay.
I have to have like something
Something to do.
to do, right?
Yeah.
I can't just learn in a vacuum, right? And I don't know if that is similar to you, but like I have to have like
Totally.
an end goal, right? I can't just learn math for the sake of learning math. And that's probably why I like physics a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because like especially with running, like I was like literally calculating how I could be a better runner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's a science to it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So sorry we like branched off.
I know we keep branching off.
But
So good
but
to get to know you though.
yeah. Yeah, like I'm just weird.
Aren't we all?
But with the karate, right?
Oh, right,
You said
yes.
you didn't really like it, but then you found leadership roles. And
I found
I like leadership skills within that. And my first principal actually, he teaches karate. Like,
Oh really?
yeah, and he is not really like you would never think he's like super athletic. Like he runs and stuff like that.
Right.
But what he finds most of it is like just like self-control and like
Discipline.
Discipline, exactly. And that's
It's
the thing.
grit. It's work ethic. And like it took, years to get my black belt. And that was my whole childhood, was focusing on getting my black belt. And I didn't get rewarded every day. Like a lot of days you show up to karate, you get punished. And it's painful. It hurts. Like you go to school the next day, everything hurts. And to continuously go back, and no matter how hard things were, and no matter how challenging the lesson was, and to keep going back has probably taught me the kind of grit and determination that I don't see in everyone else, and I can't barely articulate it to others. I don't feel like there are many challenges in this world that I can't overcome, because I had that as such a foundational piece of my childhood. And I think I'm very lucky that I got to have that experience, and that even though I didn't love being there all the time as a kid, it taught me to push even harder.
Yeah, it's like that
Yeah.
type 2 fun. It's fun after it happens.
Fun after the
Yeah.
fact.
You get along with runners.
Would I?
Middle distance runners and long distance runners, like, again, we don't see the fruit of our labor for months, right?
I hate running, but probably because I don't know anything about it.
Well, and also it's difficult.
Yeah.
And like, so I've had like a long-term athlete development thing that like
Okay.
I've progressed into it, right?
Right.
So like starting it later, you start it, the harder it is, right? But
Mhm.
like, I think it shares a lot with karate that it takes a lot of discipline. There's days where you have absolute trash workworkouts and like you feel like nothing's progressed, but it's part of the process.
It's all part
And
of the process.
man, I'm like holding the rails walking upstairs, like really,
Yeah.
like, and I'm
Yeah.
like in my 20s when I was just like I'm an old man,
Yeah.
right? But then like you learn self-control with like, not to go too hard in a workout, but in karate, like I find it's like, even like when you're thinking of like sparring, right? It's like from what I've heard about it, and like half of it's TV shows, half of it's whatever, right?
That's another thing that's hard to watch on TV.
You're right. But like people that I know that are any type of martial arts, right? They're the last people to actually get into a fight.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And like they understand that it's about like respect and like what we said again, control.
Exactly.
And then like the discipline and having a sport like that. And I feel like we're going to find another parallel here.
Okay.
Because my athletic journey has really shaped the message that I try to give across to my kids.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
So how do you implement that experience? And I guess like I can see it in music, right?
Yeah.
Going from like the grade 12 to that university course that you had, like the certificate, like that takes grit, right?
But that took a lot of
So
a lot.
Yeah. Could you explain sort of like how that shapes your practice and maybe just even
My approach to
your approach, but I guess your attitude to teaching, because I know like we learn about those like authoritarian, lazy parent, like all that stuff, right? And it, like the answer is always like somewhere in the middle. Right. Depends on the day if I had sleep or not,
right? We're human.
But like, how does that shape your attitude and practice in the classroom?
I think like
goals.
I have been told, and I feel the same way, that I am extremely strict, but also incredibly kind and caring and fair. And kids always feel safe. They know that, I might have a rule and it is very black and white, like the rule of no cell phones. But that being said, if a student, their parents email me and say, this is going on at home, the child needs to have their phone, or the kid comes and tells me that, immediate, I'm like, thank you for telling me. So for me, it's always about the process that the kids took to get there. If they did something wrong, I'm not quick to get upset or angry. I'm very, very regulated. Yeah. Usually, I'm not perfect, but no one is. Very regulated though when I talk to kids. And I think I'm big on discipline in moments where there was disrespect or an intention. It's all about the respect and the intention for me. Because if the intention of it was to hurt somebody else or to be disrespectful or something like that, I will turn in more into the authoritative disciplinarian.
That's a choice.
That's a choice at that point, right? But for other kids, like every single thing that I approach with kids, I look at it like that. Was that a choice, or did you just not know better? Or is this something that, we've talked about and you have a lot of trouble controlling, and we know that? And how are we going to make a better choice in this moment and then move forward?
Are we the same person? Like,
I know. I'm like, I've never even talked to you.
it's like, like again, like I feel like that's how I've been described.
Yeah.
As like just firm but fair.
Yeah, firm but fair.
And for me, it goes into like what I need as like a learner when I was younger. Like I hate structure. I hate discipline, but I need it.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about when like you do something like automatically and then the other ones you have to like put concentrated effort in to do. I have to put concentrated effort into being organized and structured.
That's fair.
Like, I need to
You
do
need
it.
to do it.
But that also opens me up to know that these kids might not like structure, right? Like when I'm thinking about like accommodations, right? I'm like, a lot of the accommodations are structure. You have to have it. Like,
They are.
if I had a fidget spinner, because like again, I've had ADHD. I have ADHD. I never lose it, but I've learned so many coping skills from so many people that it's not an excuse for me. It's just like that's just how it is, and I know how to design my space and stuff like that. But I know that like certain accommodations I find like that are on the list that people that are may have ADHD and stuff like that, the accommodations they want aren't the accommodations they need, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely. That just rings so true. I can't add to that because it's just so true.
well, like take it for example, because like like ADHD, and I'm not a doctor, but like from what I know about it, it's a deficiency in like your regulation of dopamine.
Yes.
And dopamine is the thing that makes you want to do things, right? The motivation is the carrot.
It's the drive. It's getting this part of your brain, the most human part, working.
Exactly.
My husband has it too, so I'm very familiar.
When I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about, okay, how do I find it, and then this is going to be a Marvel reference, but I find it's like being the Hulk.
Okay.
Because I can be super hyper focused on
the hyper focus.
I can be like, again, like even outside of medication, because medication can amplify that 10 times.
Yep, yes,
but
it can.
When you're hyper focused, you're doing your best work. You're doing your best work because you're focused. Your attention to detail is perfect and nothing's distracting you. But when you're not, this is where the problem happens to get in that hyper focused zone, is that there's going to be distractions. Like any sort of stimuli that's around you is going to pull you from that attention, right? It's basically you're focused, and then the threshold of distraction is so low for you that you can get distracted and jump around task to task. So I dislike the idea of like fidget spinners or bouncy like chairs to be accommodations for that, because will it shut the kid up? Yes. Right? The kid will like spin it and they're like, fine. Is he paying attention to anything you're saying? No.
I have had this conversation with my grade 6s.
Right.
We had to talk about what a fidget is. A fidget is something for you to move your body, right? But your attention is on the thing you're trying to focus on. It's not just a toy.
So I thought like, and I look back to myself because I try not to like judge the kids, but I'm thinking if I was in this situation, what would I need to be focused? And the best way that if you gave me a handout with like, okay, you have to read this, the best way to get me to focus on that is to literally put me in a white room with a desk and nothing else. Because my brain is going to be like, what is the most interesting thing in this room? And if that is the most interesting thing in the room, that's what I'm going to focus on. But if there's like color, bean bags, like everything, like I'm not going to pay attention to this text. Right.
Interesting.
So
I never thought of it like that with ADHD.
Yeah, it's just like, that's sort of my understanding to it. And like, a pediatrician could probably explain it better.
Oh, yeah.
But like, I find some accommodations stop behavior, but don't really facilitate learning.
Yeah,
right?
Or growth.
And one's easier to do, right? And one's not easier to do. So like as a teacher, we're not all perfect. And like there's some times where it's like, okay, we have to find some sort of medium here. But like I think it's the limiting distractions is the biggest thing, not giving more distractions. But I guess, I don't know, again, we keep going on these like tangent things here.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But like in terms of like, I think we were talking about like how like discipline and karate,
discipline impacted
like
teaching
music,
room.
how it impacted your room. It's like, and this is where I need help with, is like sometimes I have this, like I have the discipline and I know how to utilize it and how to like cope around my attention or deficits or like anything else,
Mm-hmm.
because I know myself. But I find it's harder to get that across to a seventh grader, right? Or a
Yes.
sixth grader. And what is your ways of like trying to bestow that knowledge of discipline onto your students?
I think my classes are very structured. So when we start class, the kids know exactly what's going on. If I read, I don't remember what book I read this in, but I read in a teaching book somewhere, like the best teacher that you can possibly be is if you were not in the room, your kids would just continue to operate and they would not even notice. So the kids know exactly what they're supposed to do. And within that, I limit a lot of distractions. I rarely let my kids talk. I rarely let them listen to music. Absolutely like zero cell phones in the classroom. I know that's a policy.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
everything you just listed there.
Yeah, I'm very like, and the kids know it, and they know like breaking a rule like that is intentional, and that's gonna have a consequence with it. Versus, um, a kid who's sitting there trying to focus on a lesson, they get distracted. That's not intentional. But I honestly think that, and kids are not allowed to ask to go to the washroom in my class. They get a 5-minute water washroom break halfway through the period.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and so it's not constantly Mrs. Masters, Mrs. Masters, Mrs. Masters, Mrs. Masters. There's not a lot of that going on. It's very direct, very specific. It's usually very quiet. But it's not in an authoritarian way. It's just in a structure way to, like you said, limit those distractions. And I like to use the words with them. This is your job right now.
Yeah.
I say that a lot. This is your job right now. And we talk about how their parents go to work during the day or people in their family are working, and that's how they contribute positively to their family. And right now they're here to be positively contributing to their family so they can grow and to be the best people they want to be.
Yeah.
And I will never hesitate to push curriculum aside and have those conversations with them whenever they need it.
Yeah, and that's good. That's like academic ownership.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Like it's their job. And like I always tell them, like when your freedom increases, so does your responsibility. Right. So like that's the thing. But I guess it has frustrated me in the past because like again, we're on the same wavelength when it comes to like structure and stuff.
Yeah.
What really does annoy me is like some PL days or some PD days, and it's like the flavor of the month sometimes that like that structured based learning, like that environment we have is oftentimes like with like novel ideas is critiqued, and it's super frustrating because like just because it's like maybe like an old like timey like I guess like traditional method of doing it
Right.
doesn't make it obsolete.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And you think about like the career span of like a education specialist, right?
Right.
It's about 5 years, right?
Yes.
So does learning specialists make a name for themselves by doing the same thing that happened that people have been doing and just tweaking it? No, they want to try to make a name for themselves by doing something novel, something new, something like crazy out of the box, right? And then divisions usually like click onto that and then go with that for 5 years until the next new thing happens, right? How long have you been teaching for? I actually don't know.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
I should probably know that. I think about 10 years.
10 years. Okay. So you've been in the system
Yes.
for a while now. You've probably experienced more than your fair share of all that stuff.
Oh, yes.
How do you manage like taking the good bits of that and then sort of like, I guess, either advocating against it or
like during PLD meetings?
Yeah, PL days or like even just like, I know, justifying your own practice when so many people are saying the contrary a lot of the times. Like it must be frustrating because I know I've been frustrated with it.
Yeah.
But it's a battle. I don't know.
It is. Yeah, I don't get a lot of pushback. I honestly, like, especially like with my classroom management style, I get almost no pushback. And I find kids say they really enjoy coming to my room because it's calm, they know what to expect, and they know what's going on all the time. In terms of the PL, I think I approached that from a really different lens because whenever I hear those sort of anecdotal things, my brain is slotting that into a folder for a later leadership role.
Right.
Of like, how am I going to, you can't mitigate those problems before they happen, but how am I gonna approach my leadership differently based on what I'm hearing from other people right now?
And that's probably the healthiest thing you can do, right? Like
Yeah.
take it because like you never know when it will be useful in the long run.
Exactly.
And like you can sort of sort of separate like the fluff and like
Yes.
the not stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Like because a lot of things when they're presented to you, like any sort of like nuanced educational pedagogy method, it's so broad. Like especially like in Alberta, I think like there's less pushback on a very like traditional way of doing things,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And I find like I've never had really a problem with parents, and I don't think I've ever had a problem with any administrator of how I do it. Because they all are really good professionals, and they
Right.
understand
Yeah.
like, oh, this is
We're
working.
so much,
Yeah,
we're very lucky. There's so much professional autonomy in Canada with teaching.
yeah,
Because I look at teaching in like the United States for one example,
Yeah.
and like teachers they're on a script and it is given to them, and like they get walked in on and observed like without zero warning. Like it's
yeah.
a lot.
That's like it's not like I would mind that either, and like, but I think what I was trying to say because yeah, I've never had any pushback like that. What you're saying, but I think it's like an anxiety thing.
Fair.
Right? Like you're feeling like I remember when I first started teaching, right? I was actually kind of freaked out that no one was watching me. Like I'm like, hey, like
Yeah.
they just let me teach these group of students.
Yeah, like these kids are now fully in my.
Yeah.
I think it's like new parents coming from
Yeah.
hospital with a child the first
Not
time.
checking up on me.
Yeah, like what? This is my job now.
I need to call my mom. Like I don't know what's going on. Yeah. But like I do I guess it's more of an anxiety thing that teachers
Yeah.
have. Like they're again, I think everyone brings this up in every podcast ever, but it's like the imposter syndrome,
Oh yes.
right? So
Yeah, it runs deep, especially for me this year.
yeah, like yeah, because you're in a
Totally new environment.
you're your own critic, right?
Yes.
Like no one cares as much as you do. I find that's
Yeah, and people, I think honestly, the grace of other people surprises me more often than I expected to. Like any moment where I've ever made a mistake in my career, or I've, done anything that I've regretted, like, oh, I should have done that better. I should have this. I didn't get this marked in time. I didn't do that. You find people will give you grace.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like I find problem. See, tell me if this is what you've experienced too, because I've had it where my first couple of years of teaching, I marked so much more. I marked everything. I printed everything. Gave so much like stuff, just like almost like just in case I was like audited or something like that. Like I was scared to do it, and it was so much work. And then as I got, and like this is the paradoxical thing about it that like I think people have to wrap their heads around that aren't teachers, or maybe teachers still feeling that anxiety, like student teachers feel it all the time or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like you actually get better at your job and you end up doing less of that work, right? It's not like you're doing your job worse because you're doing less of that work, right?
We're doing it better, actually.
The effort and efficacy of your work, they don't scale up linearly. Like if you're getting a better teacher, you're actually putting in less effort and doing a better job, which is a wild thing and a concept, especially for like type A people to really do, right? Like that is like.
Are you a type A?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Right. Like I like I'm like driving to school and I'm like, what are we doing today? Like, like sort of a lot of stuff. But I also think that comes with experience. Like I could not do that my first year.
Oh gosh.
Right.
Gosh, no.
I just know enough about like how to like for structures and forces the other day. I just lost my student teachers as they were back, right? I sort of pick up the last two classes before spring break, and I like, okay, what are we doing here? And basically I was like on my way to work, I was like, okay, well, I have like these notes ready and stuff like that, but it's like spring break's coming up. I was like, what are we gonna do? And so we watched like a Generation Genius video, and then I made them make like little they like all sat on chairs like in like a little square, and they had to turn themselves like left, and then they had to like lean on each other's like knees.
Oh cool. Oh,
and then I fold the chairs away.
You did that today?
Yeah, we did that today, and we did like so this were structures and forces,
right?
And we're just measuring like, okay, like we're showing them the concept of weight distribution,
and they're never gonna forget that.
And then we like stacked like Jasmine and a couple other students on them, like to like see how much weight they could hold, and like if they could walk around and stuff like that. And we like some people say it's like wasting an hour, but no,
No,
like,
they're not going to
yeah.
forget that. There's a similar way exercise we do in music that was taught to me by somebody amazing that I used to get to co-teach music at one of my schools that I was at. And she teaches rhythms by putting kids in chairs. And then I forget the concept of it, but she'll have like 4 chairs for 4 sounds on one beat. But then the kids who are the beat is represented by one person and then the rhythm is sat on top of it. So it shows which rhythms there's 2 kids piled on top of each other versus the other ones happen on the space between the 2 beats. I'm not doing it justice.
No,
But I watched her do it one time and I was like, this is amazing.
You're explaining the logic through a game, and that there's kinesthetics involved with it. So it's not even like because the more you're involved in learning something, the better you learn it, obviously, right? So like when I always tell people like you got to read it, write it, and say it, like teach it to your parents.
Well, and they say those that can't do teach. No, it's those that can do teach.
Yeah. I feel like it's like a jack of all trades thing.
It is.
Like I'm pretty good at
A lot of things.
Yeah, right? But I'm not an expert at anything,
anything.
right? Except like maybe running.
Yeah.
Like, maybe
music.
right?
Definitely.
But like even then, like there's still people that I could like pull from and learn from. Like if you dig me deep into like exercise biz, there's only so much I can go to, right?
Fair.
Before I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out.
I'm terrible at composing.
Yeah.
I just can't.
But those activities that you have with the kids, those especially like spring break coming up, like I could have taught them like the first topic of that unit, right? And they would have forgot it.
Yeah,
100%, right?
100% gone
So
at the end of break.
they do this activity, right? Yeah, they'll forget what the heck we were talking about, but they'll remember it. And this is like sort of like they learned something and they didn't even realize it, because now we're going to go over topic 1 after spring break and get the thing. They're going to be like, oh, remember what we did? Like the activity we did or whatever. Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Right. And that link shows that they had a knowledge set there. It was ingrained in them through the experience.
Exactly.
Right. But they just didn't know what they knew yet. And then it's solidified and like formalized later. Right.
Well, and it just provides a whole different perspective for them instead of just hearing somebody talk about it or doing a worksheet on it.
Yeah. And like those have their places.
Oh, they do.
But like,
for sure.
It was like just having that confidence to do that with my students and not be afraid that, oh, this isn't like hitting this outcome. Like outcome-based reporting ticks me off all day long, every day, because it's like, oh, look at the tree, but you forgot the whole forest. But it's just,
I like that analogy.
Yeah, I don't like it. It feels like I'm pigeonholed in marking and stuff like that. But but like just that confidence as like being like like I'm 6 years in, right? So like, and then you're 10 years in. That doesn't happen to like first year teachers. That's where like a lot of that extra work happens. That's stress, because they feel like, I don't know, it's that anxiety that someone's going to be in and be like, okay, let's see the evidence. Like what was the learning happening, right? And then when you start teaching for long enough, you realize it's like, no, it's all about just getting the kids ready. Like that's all it is.
Totally. Yeah, and turning them into good people. At the end of the day, I just view my job, like I know there's the curriculum, and obviously that is an extremely important thing that we have, but our job at the end of the day is making sure that the kids that we teach turn into good people.
That's 100%, and that's a reel right there. That's a clip right there. Yeah, and like teaching them how to learn, because like there's so many stuff that I learned outside of school, but I use the skills of how to learn it from school. Like I learned how to learn. Yeah. And then now I have my interests. Whenever I want to learn,
you can do it.
Learn, right?
Yeah. Like when kids always say, why do we have to learn this? Well, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to. And also you're learning a skill right now. That's called learning. So
like the learning how to acquire a skill.
Yeah.
Like again, like it doesn't matter if it's karate, track and field, or tech or math or science or whatever. There is a method of how to learn it.
Exactly.
Right. And it just, you have to do it. Okay. This has been an awesome conversation because it's just branched off so many different ways, right? And it's cool because it's conversation, and it may be a little more of a conversation than an interview, but it's
okay.
still,
I think it was great. It was really good getting to know you.
Before we go though, I need to spend at least a couple minutes talking about your your petting zoo that you have
Oh,
for us.
yes. Oh, it's hard to list because I mean, currently we've got 2 huskies.
Hmm.
I don't know if you know a lot about huskies, but they're their own breed.
They shed a lot. They're crazy.
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, that's basically all you need to know. They're insane. We've had them returned to our house by the RCMP.
Oh, man.
They got away when we lived in Chestermere. They got away and they ran across a highway, jumped a barbed wire fence into a golf course, and my one dog that hates water and snow, husky, hates snow, whatever, jumped into a pond in the Chestermere golf course, and a golfer, and it was like, it's a decorative pond, so there's no way to get back out.
Right.
And so a golfer had to jump in and save him from drowning, and then he came home in the back of an RCMP car.
Oh, man.
And it was the last day of school that it happened, and it was the hottest day of that year. It was like 36 degrees out. It was right around 3 or 4 o'clock, and they got out, and my husband and I were just beside ourselves. Anyway, that happens all the time.
Make sure your tags are up to date.
Yeah. Oh, they're always up to date. So I'd have the 2 huskies. My little baby dog, the one that I had, kind of all like right when I first became an adult and all through school, she just passed away.
Yeah.
So it's been really hard.
Good life though, long life.
Oh, long life, yeah. And she was like 3 pounds of like spunky craziness,
Just sassy.
sassy, and like this dog, like when she was a puppy, I left out a plate of like chicken strips that was like this big with 6 of them. She was a pound, and she ate them all. And
Wow.
now she didn't throw up. She didn't get sick. She was just like, I want more. She never needed to go to the vet for there have been like routine things, and she was
Just a garburator.
she was she was the sweetest. So I had her, and then we currently have 4 cats. So a lot. There's always something crashing or banging or smashing in our house, and we don't take very good. We're very chill in our house when things break, because we'll be sleeping in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, there goes that cat again. Or one of them really likes to eat blinds. So
God.
they've all got their little quirks. And then in my life, I've had a lot of animals. I've had sugar gliders, degus. What else have I had? I don't know. I had to think when I listed it all out, because we've got a snake right now. We actually have 2 snakes, a mouse, a hamster. I had a pet rat. I grew up in BC where they're like not illegal to have as pets.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a rat growing up.
Captive rats are cute. Like they're fine. Yeah.
I think it was super cute.
People just have them think they're like dirty or whatever.
Yeah,
You
people
know,
are
the
afraid.
flag and whatnot. But like you have one that was born and raised in captivity. Like
Yeah.
they're adorable.
So its name was Nibbler. Her name was Nibbler. Yeah, and she was
Fitting. Yes.
yeah, she was a good little rat. Yeah, I can't think of anything else, right? Oh, I've had guinea pigs, skinny pigs.
Skinny pigs.
Skinny pigs. Their
This-
hair was guinea pig.
Okay. I
Yeah.
was like, is it what it sounds like?
It is. Yeah. Is it? Well, they're not skinny though. They're just like a
They're just
regular
like
guinea
fluffy.
pig. But yeah, usually they've got no fur. Some of them have like a little tuft on their nose or something. So my husband actually works at a pet store right now because he's still in school. And so oftentimes we end up with even more pets for a short amount of time, because we'll take, if there's like the skinny pigs that we ended up having, they were surrendered to the pet store, and it's really hard to adopt animals out that have been surrendered that are elderly. So oftentimes we'll take in elderly animals and we'll care for them because we know how, and let them live out the rest of their life in our house. So are you talking
Senior-
bunnies? What's that?
Like a senior's home?
Yeah, it's basically like a senior's home. There's always a rotating door. We have a room that's like set aside for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so we'll just take in whatever needs to be taken in, bunnies. Yeah, and they get to live out the rest of their life in our house, and we incorporate them into our schedule, but it's always changing because like they all need very different care. So
How do your like kitties deal with like the foster kids? Like
so we isolate.
Yeah.
So the foster kids have their own room, and then when the foster pet comes out and we're working with that one, it's like caged off
okay.
or something. Like it's different for every animal.
Snakes don't go into the terrarium and like try to like get the
snakes in that one
cats.
too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we kind of have a system. I don't know, it's quite complicated, but it all works out. And we've got every animal like product you could think of, like pools and I don't know, beds and play pens and cages and all that kind of stuff.
if I ever need a pet sitter.
Yeah, if you ever need a pet sitter, hit me up.
I have 2 cats, Dumb and Dumber,
Is that what their names are?
Oi and Eddie. So Oi is a Bengal,
Okay. Oh,
like 17 pounds. Like he's a big boy. Yeah. He's a little wider than he is tall, which is whatever. He likes food. I think we got Eddie from a box in Fort St. John, like BC. And like she was just the lucky one. We're like, all the rest, good luck. We'll take this one. Yeah, and we thought she was a boy for so long.
Oh,
that's why we
happens too.
called her Eddie. Like we're like, oh, Eddie, and then so the legal name is Edna, but like we call her Eddie Spaghetti, and she is the most vocal cat I've ever had in my entire life. Like will meow just to hear her own
just to,
voice.
yeah.
Like it's just so ridiculous. Like she'll be walking around, like just walk by us. Meow. I'm like, okay.
I honestly think we might be the same person.
I know, right?
I have a cat, and her name is Mrs. Pickles.
Nice.
Because she started out as a boy, and all of our cats have R-themed names. So Rebel, Ramsey, Romeo. And they're all based off of like different things about them. And so we named that one Rascal, thinking it was a boy, and then went to take it in to get it neutered, and it got spayed instead. Yeah. And so I was at that point, I was like, you know what? We're breaking the R trend and we're calling her Mrs. Pickles. Because she's also the most vocal cat. She just will meow at you for no reason all the time. All the time. She just walks through the house at night meowing.
What type of cat is it?
She is I'm blanking on the tortie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like
they've got like tortitude.
Like,
it's like dark.
Dark, but like
patches
spots of brown?
Orange and brown. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one sec.
Okay. Is that what you have too?
I'm pretty sure you're describing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so those cats have tortitude. That's a whole thing that you need to look up if that's what you have.
Well, I just tortitude.
Yeah, it's like because they're torties.
Yeah.
So it's called tortitude because they have actual attitude.
I think I can just search cats.
Cats, yes.
Like okay. So like that's Oi and Eddie. Like,
Is Eddie's on that side?
Eddie, Oi is the Bengal.
That is. Oh, yeah. This one is a tortie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
tortitude.
like
oh, so sweet. Oh my gosh, our cats are almost identical. I don't have my phone, but
yeah.
I'll show you after.
And like so Oi is scared of his own shadow. And like it's hilarious because he could like beat up like a medium-sized dog.
Yeah.
Right? But he's like scared, like you step too loudly, he's like freaking out, and Eddie will fight like a husky. Like Eddie would
those cats have they have serious
you open the door, Eddie's like, I'm escaping. Like I'm out of here.
I'm
right?
run.
Yeah. And then Oi will be like, no, I'll stay in here. Like if we bring out our luggage before we're traveling, he'll like see the luggage, like the suitcase, and hide. Because he's like, I don't want to get in the car. Right? It's so ridiculous. But and then like 3 a.m, Eddie's like scratching at the door to try to get out or something like that. But yeah, no, they're little idiots. Like, but they just hang out in our house. Like sometimes we wake up and we're like, oh my god, we got cats. We got a case of cats. I couldn't imagine having 4 of them.
I know. And our house isn't that big. We live in a small place. It's a lot.
And then like they'll just barf for no reason.
I know.
And you're just like, bro, and they'll like get to the carpet and throw up.
Yeah.
Like
or they'll intentionally jump on the bed to do it.
Yeah.
It's like there's no better alarm clock than hearing your cat throwing up on your bed at like 3 a.m. Yeah. You'll be like right up.
It's like, what the heck? Like you didn't even eat anything, or like Eddie will like meow, meow, meow. We'll feed her, take 2 bites, and she'll walk away. And put her nose to it.
Yeah, torties are like that.
And the problem is Oi will see the food and eat all of it.
That's hard.
Yes.
That's hard.
And that's why Oi, is a little overweight, and he might have diabetes later on. Let me
see.
There's a laser pointer, get him around. And he's like panting because like Bengals like pant like that.
Oh yeah,
dogs.
You can get automatic laser pointers. I don't know if you've ever.
Oh yeah, I think my parents have that. It's like
it's like it does it for you.
Eddie will understand. Like I think Eddie will realize it's like a light, and then he'll be like, no way. Yeah. But they're also like adorable. Like, we're watching like Daredevil or something like that. And like, Olivia will put like the blanket on our legs, and like that literally Eddie will like get up from the cat tree, walk over, and like just lay on our legs. Cause like, that's the thing.
That's so cute.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a couple of like the
like-
when yeah. Yeah, they're little dorks, but like again, four of them like, and they get along fine. Like
Yeah.
they'll like bicker at each other. Like they're like both like husband and wife and brother and sister.
Yep.
So like
I totally get
yeah,
that.
like
Yeah, we always get ours in like pairs. Like whatever animal we get, we always do pairs.
well, we got Eddie because we think like Oi would be bored because
right.
I was living in an apartment at the time and I have a Bengal and I'm like, well, but then we can't put them on leashes because they just like shut off.
It takes training.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to train them, and it's like never too late, but it is a lot of work to do.
Yeah, like Oi's turning 6 this year, and then Eddie's turning 5. So
okay, I think my two older cats are I guess they're 7.
we don't know Eddie's actual birthday, but
okay, yeah, my younger ones I don't know their exact
birthday. I got him from a breeder, so I know
okay.
exactly June 25th, 2000.
Well, my dog's birthday is August 25th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Blessed. And I throw a party, he doesn't even care. And sometimes I just give him chicken or something like that, or a piece of bacon. Like, here you go. All right. We are definitely well over an hour now.
I know.
But like, this was honestly one of the most like just fluent conversations I've had.
Amazing.
Right?
I'm so glad.
If you ever want to get on later on, like if you ever have like a thing like you really want to talk about, like, oh, it'd be really sweet if I got this out into the universe before I applied the principal jobs or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Because like this is the thing, right? And part of this is like this whole stint is my professional development. Like I'm not joking about it when I'm saying like, hey, like, and the nice thing about this is like without this podcast, like there's like not a lot of excuse to go and like just chat for an hour.
I was thinking that the entire time you were talking. I was like, when is the last time I just sat down and talked to somebody who knows how to have a conversation?
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous because we work in a building with
like
amazing adults who have these amazing lives and these amazing backgrounds that we know nothing about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, whatever, like the school that I'm going to next year, right? I was saying this before, but it's an accumulation of every other teacher that I worked with. So a little bit of your wisdom, right, is going to go to a school in Winnipeg.
Amazing.
Which would be sweet.
Amazing.
All right. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Conrad.
All right.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Thank you for tuning in to Professional Development with me, Mr. Drover. I hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your fellow educators. You can also connect with me on Instagram or via email to continue the conversation and share your thoughts. Well, until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a difference, both inside and outside the classroom. I'll see you in the next episode.